Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to Minister for Racing. Minister, it is well known that the new Tas racing vet, Dr Martin Lenz, introduced a feeder program in Queensland whereby a quarter of all existing greyhounds were weeded out before they enter the state's greyhound adoption program if it was clear it would take too long for them to become adoptable. This was done so that the more difficult dogs did not affect Queensland GAP's quick turnaround requirement. Welfare advocates here in Tasmania are concerned that similarly, under Tas Racing's new proposed GAP policy, disgraced trainer and former GAP manager Susan Giddis will be brought in as the first point of assessment to decide whether dogs' greyhounds will die and which ones will progress to GAP. This will mean that the euthanasia rates will be off the GAP's books and only the easiest of dogs will be processed through GAP and ultimately rehomed. These concerns are well founded, as Ms Giddis, who had her training licence suspended for some time for a prohibited substance being found in one of her dogs, is also on the Tas Racing Greyhound Adoption Program Working Group, highly inappropriately. Minister, you're also aware of allegations made by a former staff member of the Office of Racing Integrity that Ori directed that dogs be euthanised off track rather than on track where statistics and data is recorded. Minister, you've made a song and dance about euthanasia rates going down, but rather, isn't it the case that you, Tas Racing and Ori are deliberately trying to hide the real situation, thereby hiding the cruelty that underpins this industry?
Honourable Minister for Racing.
Thank you for the question. As I've said, as recently as last week, Tas Racing has recently released a draft GAP working group paper, and I emphasise the point draft. The draft paper is undergoing consultation, and until that consultation is concluded, it would be inappropriate to provide wider commentary. But what I will say is that the government and Tas Racing want to increase the number of greyhounds that are rehomed. Increase the number of greyhounds that are rehomed, while also reducing the time taken to achieve rehoming. A recent review of the GAP program by Tas Racing senior management and Chief Veterinary and Animal Welfare Officer Martin Lenz identified a need to make strategic and operational changes to the GAP program. And as I said last week, this will see more greyhounds rehomed in shorter time, and I would have thought that this House would be very supportive of that. Now, we've had a range of issues raised in this place, various claims, and I have previously pointed out those that have been erroneous, and I don't intend to run through all of those again today. But what I will say is that the concern around the future of the GAP program is inextricably entwined in the reforms that we are doing to make sure that we have the best industry going forward. We are open to and will always listen to proposals for improvement and reform and looking at what we can do to improve our circumstances here. So the draft paper that we refer to is a working paper. It is a working paper that was an internal document. I think it was distributed to the advisory group and fairly broadly. It shows that we are looking at what we can do better, and I would encourage everybody who has proposals in relation to that to again make them known.
Honourable Member Bass.